Hello and welcome to Theme Park Information. In today's show we'll be doing a review for Alton Towers, which is located in Staffordshire in the UK. Let's start off with a few problems with it, and that is usually the operations at the park are quite poor. They tend to have a lot of breakdowns and malfunctions on their major roller coasters, which means they don't operate fluidly throughout the day. And they can also often run train as well, and it can also be quite busy at Alton Towers as well because it's quite a popular and well-established theme park. Now, as it happens, none of those things happened when we were there a couple of days ago. It all ran very smoothly. Let's start off with Galactica, formerly known as the B&M Flying Roller Coaster, because that is where one of the only small problems of the day happened, and that is that the VR, the virtual reality headsets, weren't working, and that meant I didn't get to experience the first VR coaster, unfortunately, but I actually really appreciate Air. Yes, I'm going to refer to it as Air for the rest of this review, because if it doesn't have VR, it pretty much is just Air, and this is the roller coaster, which is really cool. I mean, it is definitely starting to show its age. It was the first B&M flying roller coaster, built in 2002. It was a really sound investment for the park. It was really popular when it first opened, so you can well imagine it was a really unique experience. And they felt the need to revamp it because it kind of had a bit of a dwindling popularity. It wasn't getting long queues as it used to, and kind of needed to be freshened up a little bit. And thankfully, the theming of the plaza and the queue line stuff, I've added a little bit of modernising to the ride and such, and it has improved it. They've also done a very similar job with Nemesis just next door, which is just an absolutely beautiful roller coaster. The B&M inverted steel roller coaster has just got so much pace, power, has 4 really good inversions. They all fit really well together. I absolutely love the concept of it as well, and the fact that the reason it is dug into the ground is because of Alton Towers having a height requirement put upon them. It's a lovely bit of innovation, and the roller coaster actually works so much better because of it. It's all low to the ground, there's lots of tunnels, there's lots of really tight turns, it's a really quick ride, it's smooth, it's comfortable. It is clearly one of the best roller coasters in the park and also the country. It's absolutely great. Really good ride, can't rate it highly enough. Staying in the Forbidden Valley kind of area, they have recently removed Ripsaw and replaced it with pretty much some sort of god-awful charged attraction which almost no one will go on. I actually feel really gutted because I used to really like Ripsaw when it was there and used to ride it whenever I could, and I just feel that Alton Towers, as in one of my previous videos going downhill, I think they are just removing a few too many rides and not replacing them with enough quality attractions, or attractions which are cheaper to run. They can be family attractions. I'm not saying they have to build a new thrill ride on it. They don't have to build a new mega roller coaster. They just have to build something which requires some sort of effort to build, and not just plonk some sort of pitiful attraction just where a really decent thrill ride used to be. As it happens, the pirate ship is in the same area. They haven't got rid of that, even though there were plenty of rumours that they would. That is actually quite good fun. Managed to get the good old back row ride on that. It's a really cool little pirate ship. I like the theme of it. It does actually look like they recently have given it a bit of a paint job as well, and so actually it looked pretty decent. Not a huge fan of the exit for that one, for the old turnstile. I tend to find that's a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit tight, and there's always every chance you could hit yourself on the way out or way in, as my friend very almost did. Let's just continue kind of going across the park and move on to Duel, which happens to be, quite sadly, one of my favourite rides at the park. This is more because of personal memories of having a lot of really good times on it with my dad and stuff, but I really love the laser combat kind of in the dark shooter type ride. It's very cool. I absolutely love the fact there's a really cool little frozen ice cream counter which opened really recently. That's actually really sweet. The ice creams may be quite expensive from there, $4.50, but well worth it. And Duel itself is just a really kind of well-themed ride. It can be really competitive. I happen to beat my friend, which isn't surprising because I've been on Duel far more times than he has. It's a really cool ride. I probably shouldn't be talking about it that much in the review, but I really personally enjoy it. Okay. Then moving slightly further down towards the river rapids, some seriously good raves, and we got on that, I'm afraid, me and my friend. We were having water splash all over our little raft thing. It was really cool. The waterfalls, which on most parts are just there for pretty much decoration, happened to get my friend absolutely soaked, which was very enjoyable for me to watch. not so if it would be me getting the soak in, but usually the waterfalls don't really do much. They tend to be pretty mediocre. I absolutely also love the fact that little water pistol squirt guns. One of those got me, in fairness. Fair play to the person who managed to squirt me. It was a good shot right in the back of the head. But yeah, now the Rapids ride is very good fun. They've really stood the test of time. They're very enjoyable, very good. Let's have a little look at the Runaway Mine Train, which sadly did have a long queue, so I wasn't able to go now, I'm afraid. Usually I'm a pretty huge fan of the Runaway Mine Train, with the old Choo Choo logo being a bit of a legendary talk around the world of theme park information. It sadly had too long a queue to make it worthwhile going on, I'm afraid. So we kind of gave it a little miss. The same with Battle Galleons. It wasn't the warmest day in the world, and even though I've had a great deal of fun on Battle Galleons in the past, I decided to give that a little miss as well, because it really wasn't the weather. It was a little bit miserable, unfortunately. These sort of things do happen when you visit a theme park from time to time, so can't take it, too harshly. Yeah, it's a good ride though. Battle Galleons, very much good fun. You will get pretty soaked on it if you go on it though. That's a top tip and a warning to you there. Following that, managed to go on the Spinball Whizzer, which I haven't been on for about 12 years. It's always had a really ridiculously long queue, because even though it has multiple trains diverting the track at the same time, there are only 4 people in a train, so the the throughput of the ride is pretty poor. It is actually a very fun ride. I mean, it did give me a very slight headache, unfortunately, but that was more because it was actually really intense. It wasn't rattly or bangy, it just happened to be a really, really intense ride. We span a hell of a lot. The drops on it and the airtime are pretty forceful, actually, I will be honest. It was a really, really cool ride. I had a really good time on it. We did still have to wait about 40 minutes, unfortunately. So yeah, even with quite a short queue, it can take a while to get on it. Sort of ride you want to be very cautious of. You want to get that ride just at the right time, or else you'll be waiting for the rest of time to go on it. As it happens, the first ride of the day we went on was Oblivion, the B&M dive coaster, which isn't quite 90 degrees straight down. It's 88.8 for anyone interested in a really, really pointless little fact for you there. Actually, as it happens, our ride on the ascent up to it was stopped because someone in the front row was filming. It's really good to see Alton Towers actually enforce the no filming on rise policy, and thankfully the guy did give over his phone eventually after having a little bit of an argument. I thought you might get thrown out the park. That would have been quite interesting to see how they would have handled that, but very professional of Alton Towers. They explained to people on the ride why it was being stopped. It'd be nice to know if they explained it in the queue line as well, because obviously people might think it's broken down, when in fact actually it's been stopped deliberately because someone has broken the rules. It's clearly signposted. I didn't film any of the rides at Alton Towers because they and other Merlin theme parks around the world are really strict on it, and possibly rightly so. I mean, it's not great for a YouTube channel based on theme parks, but they are rules and they are meant to be followed at theme parks. But yeah, really good operations. As it happens, the drop on it is really, really good. I can't remember it being as forceful and as quick as that, but you really do hurtle down it. And that's pretty much Oblivion's review in a nutshell. Unfortunately, it's far too short of a ride. I know it was a world's first, like quite a few of the rides at Alton Towers. It really has started to show its age with rides like Kraken and Oblivion, the Black Hole opening. I mean, I've happened to be on Sheikah as well, and that's far superior to it. I mean, we ignore the fact there's literally 7 years difference between them, so I'm not at all surprised that it's starting to age a bit. Now let's move on to a bit of a controversial topic of the Smiler, and it's controversial mainly because of my opinion on it. Unfortunately, I am not the Smiler's biggest fan. It's a sort of ride you see pop up in lots of top 10s and lots of best roller coaster videos, and put it quite simply, it's a little bit boring. It's actually really rattly and uncomfortable. Both me and my friend I was there with both complained about the shakiness of the ride. There's a lot of vibration between the track and the wheels of the cart. Even though a lot of the inversions are really cool, there's nothing particularly unique about it. I know it goes upside down 14 times. It looks excellent off-ride. It looks so cool. It's well themed. It has such a sense of scale. It's a really pretty looking ride. It actually can involve some racing of the two trains if they happen to time it right. It's just a little bit of a letdown. I'll sum it up by the fact it has a vertical lift hill and then doesn't have a beyond vertical drop the other side. And it's that sort of minute poor drops. There's one decent airtime hill, I mean, the inversions are cool, but a lot of them are the same. A lot of them kind of don't really send you out the seat. They don't really have loads of force on them. It's a good ride. Don't get me wrong, it's a good ride, and I appreciate it's the sort of ride that people will really enjoy. But I'll put it this way: Colossus has better inversions on it. Dragon Khan has better inversions on it. They're more intense, they're more thrilling, they're higher, they're more unique. This ride just pretty much kind of meanders around, just going up and down. There's no kind of hairpin turn or steep drop. So no hairpin turn, no steep drop. It's a really disappointing attraction, really. I mean, it's one of the things I did think it the last time I rode it as well, and it kind of pains me to say it because it should be a really world-class roller coaster at Alton Towers, and it kind of really isn't. It's personally, I massively prefer Solar Ride, and I prefer Speed. Personally, that is my personal opinion on it. I appreciate this as a ride which people will really like. So if you like it, that's absolutely fine. I don't mind. It is a ride which can have a ridiculously long queue, that being said, so you have to be very careful where you ride it. I'd recommend not going on it first thing of the day. I'd wait for those queues to disperse. Following that, managed to actually go on Rita as well. It amazingly wasn't actually broken down, which it has been like the last 3 times I've been to Alton Towers. So it was really good to actually get on that, and I forgot how good that launch actually is. I mean, this is a ride which really doesn't really do much after the launch, unfortunately. I mean, it has some airtime moments, I guess you could call them. They're attempted airtime moments maybe, but you do kind of sometimes get some airtime on them. Not a lot though, unfortunately. It's an okay ride, I will say. Actually, being kind of rethemed has done it a little bit of good. I think the paint job looks really cool. The launch is actually really decent. I mean, you do get a tiny bit of airtime on it, but it's not anything special. I do appreciate it's a launch coaster where they can't just build a massive tower like they do for stuff at Fort Park. They have to build a kind of spaghetti bowl kind of layout with like bank turns and such. So they are kind of limited once again by the height restrictions enforced on the park, which is a bit of a shame for Alton Towers, really. As it happens, I think their last roller coaster would have been much better if it was slightly taller, and that is 13. This is a decent roller coaster. I mean, the first drop on it is actually pretty cool, and it also, obviously, without ruining it too much for people, has a bit of a track drop as well, which is also really cool. I mean, I dislike the fact it drops a little bit and then drops, but obviously what you really want to do is just drop the full distance first time. That would probably be a lot scarier. It's a really cool, interesting ride. It's reasonably decent ride to go on. It's kind of for all ages and stuff, so it is quite cool. It does kind of... it's kind of a non-event in some ways. I do enjoy it. I think it's well themed. I think it's actually in a really good location as well. I mean, it did replace a bit of a classic in the corkscrew, and I don't know, I'm not convinced by it personally. It just occurred to me I've missed one ride, and that is the Enterprise, which was actually pretty good. Who knew? I mean, I've been on it before, and I can't remember it being that good as well. It does seem really strange. It does seem that the roller coasters and rides at Alton Towers are either better than I remember them, or slightly worse than I remember them. It's a bit of a strange one. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but I'm sure we'll find out sooner or later, some sort of common ground. But actually pretty impressive, the Enterprise. As it happens, wasn't able to get on the log flume because it has shut for them in order to build their 2018 wooden roller coaster, which should be really cool. As it also happens, the park was very clean, very tidy. The staff were very efficient. E.g. on Oblivion, they handled the situation really, really well. They were calm, patient. They were really good. They were running trains really quickly. There was really good dispatch times and such. Managed to go to grab some pizza at the pizza place right near the Rapids rides. Used to be pizza, unfortunately isn't anymore. So pizza and pasta place, very similar to what you have at Highclere Park. It's £12.95, and you pretty much can have as much as you like. All you can eat. The pizza was warm, pretty damn tasty. Free refills on drinks. I also love the fact they had a bit of races there as well. Personal favourite, I think. That was very much appreciated. The pizza, really nice. Possibly could do with maybe a few varieties of vegetarian pizza, other than just the one. They could maybe have one or two, which more than that. I think that would be really, really appreciated for us who are vegetarian and such. And I possibly think they could also maybe have like a one which is really spicy or something like that. That'd be really cool as well. I know they have chili peppers on the old table, but yeah, they could do better than that. They could make a really hot pizza if they really wanted to. But yeah, food was quite good. As I mentioned before, the ice cream was really cool. Yeah, the park was clean and tidy. I'd also highly recommend, if you do get there early, or if there's a long queue for the monorail, you can walk to and from the park entrance to the car park. It's not particularly long. I wasn't overly impressed by having to pay £52 in order to enter the park. Thankfully, did remember to bring the old buy one get one free. You get on the Kellogg's cereal packs. I'd highly recommend bringing one of those, or if you don't have one, buy a box of cereal. Failing that, book online. That would be a decent idea. So yeah, overall, actually quite impressed with Alton Towers as for my visit. I mean, obviously there was a few slight problems. A little bit disappointed about not having the VR. Really disappointed about the Spine having a bit of a rattle and vibration to it. Made it a very uncomfortable ride, and it wasn't the greatest ride ever in my opinion beforehand. But that really did sink it down the list. It's a bit of a shame really, because it could be so much better. Yeah, just a bit of a disappointment really. A little bit annoyed by having to queue so long for Spinball, but it does have quite slow operations as mentioned before. And you know, generally speaking, obviously the highlight of the day was Nemesis. Such a good ride. Looks so good off ride as well, and so well themed. Yeah, personally speaking, do you feel Alton Towers need to start reinstalling some rides and not replacing them by just putting some cheap pay attraction, which does nothing to really improve the park. Obviously they are building the 2018 coaster, so I could appreciate maybe not having major investment for 2017. It was generally a really, really good day, and I would highly recommend going, especially if you have one of the buy one get one free vouchers. And just as a quick heads up, it turns out that going on Good Friday isn't as busy as anyone would think it would be. Hooray for that. Right, like, comment and subscribe to Theme Park Information. If you have any opinions, feel free to comment down below, and I'll catch you guys on the next video. Goodbye.